Kent Online News.
News you can trust.
This is the Kent Online Podcast. Nicola Everett.
Hello, hope you're okay. Thanks ever so much for downloading today's podcast on Thursday, July the 16th, the day after the England game the night before. We'll have reaction to that coming up. But first, experts are urging parents in Kent to double-check their children have had both doses of the MMR jab following a measles outbreak. 9 cases have been reported in the county since the start of the month. Vaccination rates here in Kent are currently less than 83%, and that's well below the recommended level of 95. Well, I've been speaking to Rachel Markle, who's a consultant at the UK Health Security Agency.
Since the start of July, as you say, we've had 9 confirmed cases of measles across Kent and Medway, which is unusual because we have historically had lower levels of measles in the southeast than some other parts of the country. So just to put this in a bit of context, for example, in the whole of the southeast since the start of the year, we've only had 17 cases in the southeast compared with over 450 for London and almost 150 in the West Midlands. So we do have generally good uptake of the measles-containing vaccine in the southeast, which help keep our numbers low in general. But as I say, yes, since the start of July this year, we've had 9 confirmed cases across Kent and Medway. And that does show that there has been some spread of measles across the community, and therefore a risk we may see further cases, which is why we're trying to raise awareness and encourage people to take up the offer of a vaccine when it's offered to them.
And how concerned should parents be at the moment, or indeed what do they need to look out for?
Measles is a viral infection that spreads very easily between people that aren't already immune to measles, and it starts out like many other common infections, so high temperature, runny nose, sneeze, cough, and commonly the child might have sore eyes as well. But after a few days of those kind of mild symptoms, the child can develop an all-over kind of typical measles rash that parents might have seen pictures of. And the measles infection itself, I think because we have generally low levels, people forget it's not just a mild childhood illness. People can get really seriously unwell with measles infection, and sadly we do still see deaths. So we've already had 3 deaths in England this year from measles infection. So it's not just a mild infection and can be very severe. It can be particularly severe in children under 1 year who are too young to be vaccinated, in pregnant women, and in those that are immunocompromised. So for example, people that are on treatments for cancer. So that's why we need a really high uptake of the vaccine to protect those sort of people that can't be vaccinated themselves.
And just remind us, Rachel, when those vaccines are normally made available.
So measles-containing vaccines have been offered for over 50 years in this country and across the world very safely. People up until the start of this year would have been offered measles as part of the measles, mumps and rubella vaccine that was given at just over 1 year and at 3 years, 4 months. But as of the start of this year, there's been a slight change to the programme, so that it's now offered as part of a measles, mumps and varicella and rubella vaccine. So the varicella is what causes a chickenpox infection. So an additional infection is now covered with the measles-containing vaccine. And there's also been a slight change in when it's offered. So it's offered at 12 months and 18 months, and it's a 2-dose schedule. So if people haven't been vaccinated before, they would need 2 doses of a measles-containing vaccine to offer long-term protection from measles infection.
Kent Online News.
Other top stories today, and a man's been taken to hospital following a stabbing in Ebbsfleet. We're told the victim suffered arm injuries and was sprayed in the face with an unknown substance near the Co-op on Talbot Lane yesterday lunchtime. So far, no arrests have been made, but extra police have been in the area. Meantime, there's been an arrest following a stabbing in Gillingham. Emergency crews were called to Canterbury Street. A 53-year-old from Grays in Essex was later detained at the town's railway station. 2 Sudanese men who piloted small boats carrying asylum seekers across the Channel to Kent have been jailed. One vessel that was intercepted in March had more than 70 people on board, including 9 children and a baby. The 27 and 19-year-olds have been locked up for a total of 3 years and 4 months. An Albanian national who's thought to have travelled travelled to the UK each winter to burgle homes has been locked up for crimes committed in Kent. Gledis Uka was arrested after blood was found at the scene of break-ins in Edenbridge and Sevenoaks. He was then linked to others, including in Berkshire, Essex and Suffolk. The 30-year-old, who doesn't have a permanent address, has been locked up for 10 years. This is the moment he was arrested.
Looks like we're going for it. Police officers, police officers. Turn the engine on. You're under arrest, okay? Let's go with your hands. You're under arrest.
A teenager from Dover has managed to get his laptop back after being scammed on eBay. Blake Walker sold his MacBook for £630 and was told the money would be sent after the buyer had received the computer. His payment never came, so he and his mum drove all the way to Tilbury in Essex and convinced them to give the laptop back. It's been reported to eBay and the police.
Kent Online reports.
Now, this is one of our most read stories on the website today. A Herne Bay woman who was known as the Queen of Taxis after ferrying locals around the town for almost 40 years is going to be honoured with a funeral procession of cabs. Jennifer Everett started work as a driver in the 1980s and is thought to have transported more than 100,000 passengers. She only retired last October at the age of 75 and passed away at Pilgrim's Hospice in Canterbury earlier this month. She'll be laid to rest at Herne Bay Crematorium on July the 30th. Kent Police have been given a rating as part of a new system designed to drive improvements across the country. Every force has been assigned a level from 1 to 4, with 4 being special measures. Kent's been given level 1, which is the default and means no further intervention is required. A campaign to build a bypass around villages near Maidstone could be back on the agenda as local government gets a shake-up. The current administration in Maidstone is reportedly opposed to a Leeds Langley relief road, with those in favour reckon it's now the right time to discuss it as the area needs to accommodate thousands of new homes. There are calls for grass to be maintained better at a park in Medway after a surge of painful grass seed cases in dogs. Some animals have had to be taken to the vets after getting them stuck in their skin at Cossington Park in Rainham. Owners say the verges have been allowed to grow too long. The council have told us some areas are intentionally left uncut to support biodiversity, but inspections are carried out throughout the year. We're going to hear now from a woman from East Farley, whose father's death, alongside war artist Eric Revilius and 3 fellow airmen during the Second World War, remains one of the conflict's greatest mysteries. Carol Lockwood and her partner Derek are celebrating their 65th anniversary. They've been chatting to our reporter and revisited letters which told more of the story.
When he was in Iceland, there was a lot going on. They were doing search and rescue and trying to find other pilots, etc.
The weather was awful.
He writes back to Ma that the weather's awful and he's got spiffing flying clothes, all of the very best quality, and he's nice and warm. But the Nissen hut that he's staying in is awful, and he's trying to make it better by doing things to try and make the furniture better, etc., etc. And then on the 30th of August, Eric Revilius, the famous war artist, landed in Reykjavik. The 269 Squadron were on an airfield called Kaldardanes, Kaldar, Kaldad, Darnes, Kaldardanes. And Revilius was fascinated by planes, the sea, the north, the ice, and it is said that he went into the officers' mess. My father was by then a flight lieutenant, and my father said to him, "A fella's gone down in the drink. We're going to search for him tomorrow. Would you like to come with me?" And Revilius said yes. So the plane took off at 5:30 in the morning to search for a Hudson that had gone missing the day before. Now, one of the members of the crew of that Hudson was the brother of Tony Hancock, the comedian. And it's said that that was why Tony Hancock was a manic depressive, because his brother was lost off the south coast of Iceland.
Yeah, but that was the plane they were looking for.
And that was the plane that they were looking for. 3 planes took off. The weather was supposed to be good. There's no radio contact at all. 2 planes returned. Ginger's plane didn't. There was no radio contact, no mayday, absolutely nothing. And it's a mystery to this day why nothing was ever heard about it, which is, I didn't read that bit out. You'll want to know how it happened, but we have no idea. The weather was good. We just don't know what happened. And so a search plane was sent up to look for them, and they searched and searched and searched and found nothing. No oil slick, no wreckage, absolutely nothing. And it's one of the great mysteries of the war. So Revilius, the war artist, went down with my father and his 3 crew.
And you can read that in full by heading to the Maidstone pages of Kent Online.
Kent Online reports.
There are plans to demolish a substantial detached property in Whitstable and replace it with 4 new homes. Developers already have permission to knock down the building on Grimthorpe Avenue and create 2 properties, but they now want to squeeze in an extra 2. You can see pictures of what it might look like within the story on the website today. A resident near Maidstone has raised concerns about trees that have been chopped down in the middle of nesting season. Peter Colmer, who lives at Bramley Gardens in Cox Heath, says they've been reduced from 10 metres to about 2 metres, which is bound to impact wildlife. The trees are on land belonging to Heathside Centre. Bosses say work was carried out following advice about overhanging vegetation affecting the public highway and recommendations from an independent tree survey. Now, plans for a new leisure and community centre in Tunbridge have been given the go-ahead. It'll replace the current Angel Centre, which is more than 40 years old. Now it's got planning permission. It needs to get the backing of full council in October. Then construction work can start. And finally, pupils from schools across Kent are showing off projects they've been running over the past year to promote sustainability. Children and young people who go to Turner schools in Folkestone, Dover and Canterbury have been taking part in things like beach cleans, gardening clubs, pond clearing and recycling. It's been made possible thanks to a green grant from Folkestone and Hythe Council and experts from Kent Wildlife Trust. Well, I've been chatting to Amelia Aslett, who's the Turner School's Director of Food and Engineering.
We're going round with water-saving parcels. We're inviting the community in to see us. We're doing book collections, clothing collections. We've in school, we've really thought about our food waste, and we've saved it and frozen it very carefully so that we can feed the homeless. We're making blankets out of crisp packets, again, to stop that litter drive out there. Some of the children are making videos to talk about the community projects to do it even further. So there's a lot going on that really shows that the youth of today care, and it will be seen by our local community.
What about the crisp packets, making those into blankets? That sounds like a really interesting project. Has anyone been involved in that? Who's been collecting crisp packets?
I have. Yes, it's a really good one. So the idea with the crisp packet is when you cut that crisp packet in half, obviously you clean it out. It's got the foil inside, and that acts as an insulator. So what we're doing with the blankets is you sort of glue them together and then have a plastic lining with them. And when I tomorrow donate the food that the children are going to make for the Sunflower House, we'll also take the blankets along with us to support our local community in need.
And some of the children have also been telling us about the projects they've enjoyed.
I liked when we went to Samfire Hoe and we collected litter stuff, and we use stuff from the environment to make stuff or help the environment.
We're doing wildflower packs and bee and bug hotels to
support the insects and all that. When we made the bee hotels, we had to like saw the wood and like glue it together and like make sure there's enough space for the bees to fit inside.
About the water packages, it's like lots of different stuff in a package to reduce like the amount of water you use. So there's shower heads that seems like it's given out the same amount of water, but it's given out less. Also things that you put in your toilet, when you flush it, it makes it give out less water, but still like does the same job. There's different hoses that reduces water in it, and we're going to be walking around like Folkestone, giving them to people.
They're showcasing the projects on the Harbour Arm in Folkestone today.
Kent Online Sport.
Well, we're going to start off with football, and there was heartbreak for England. They lost to Argentina in the World Cup semi-finals last night. A second-half goal from Anthony Gordon gave fans huge hope, but they went on to concede twice late on. Manager Thomas Tuchel says he'll take responsibility. Our reporter Sam Lennon spoke to fans at the Knockabout Sports Bar in Dover after the final whistle.
I think we could have done better.
Yeah.
I think we disappointed ourselves. However, we tried to our best ability, and I think if we didn't try to our best ability, we would have won. But, big up England. We've done well so far to get to the semis, and yeah, it's a shame. Big up Argentina. Good luck for the final.
So they can walk away with honour?
Absolutely.
Right, okay.
Absolutely.
There was wasted potential. And yeah, I mean, I think everyone saw it coming, but it's just sad, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
I just wish they could have won it
Do you think
after such a long time. We were so close.
Yeah, do you think they did well to come so far?
Yeah. I think we should be proud of them for that, coming this far. But what can you do?
Okay.
Maybe in the next 4 years.
Staying with football, and Gillingham won't have a game on New Year's Day. Their match against Exeter City has been moved by 24 hours and will now kick off at 3 p.m. on Saturday, January the 2nd. The sides haven't met in the league since March 2013. On to cricket, and Kent's head coach says he's felt the frustration of their poor T20 Blast campaign. The Spitfires failed to qualify for the knockout stages after several disappointing results. Adam Hollyoake is promising to address their problems and learn from what they're doing wrong. They start their one-day cup campaign next Friday. And bosses at Cyclopark near Gravesend say they want to make the site a hub for the community, not just elite cyclists. The site is on land that used to be part of the old A2 before the road was rerouted and widened. The charity running it, so they want to make sure it's available to everyone to stay active, especially those who are struggling with the cost of living. Well, that's all from us for today. Thanks ever so much for listening. And don't forget, you can follow us on socials. Plus, you can get details on the top stories direct to your email each morning. That's via the briefing. To sign up to that, just head to kentonline.co.uk. And whilst you're on the site, you can also subscribe to Kent Online Premium. That gives you access to content with fewer ads and exclusive stories.
News you can trust.
This is the Kent Online Podcast.